Hello everybody, this is DeanoGTO, and today we're going to be looking at T-54, and this is going to be my review for this vehicle. So, starting off with the armor, then the mobility, then we'll get to the firepower at the end. So, this thing has 120mm of frontal armor all over the front. So, it's 120 upper and 120 lower. The lower front plate's actually pretty strong on this vehicle because people instinctively shoot the lower front plate on most vehicles because of the Germans primarily. So, if there's something like says an example a T30 or not T30, a T30 has too much pen, but a T-34 as an example, shooting down onto the lower front plate of the T-54, because it's taller, it's going to be aiming down onto it, and that means that will increase the effective angle of the T-54's lower front plate, meaning that they're likely to bounce off. So that's something that can happen time to time. So the T-54's lower front plate is actually a lot more effective than a lot of people give it credit for. So the side armor on this vehicle is 80mm all over the side. Nearly said 180, but it's 80mm all over the side, except for this little area here, this little black outline right here, is 57mm. That's basically where the turret ring is, and it's a little weak point that you can take advantage of in very, very particular circumstances. So, in terms of the rear armor, I'm going to basically skip over it because it feels like a waste of time because it's really, really thin. In terms of the roof armor is, I feel like, important to run over because it's 30mm all over the hull and 30mm over most of the turret except for this little 45mm triangle right here. That 45mm triangle is a little thicker, so that's going to be hard to overmatch. Whereas the 30mm zone can be overmatched by 91mm guns and higher. So yeah. So when it comes to, and by the way, that includes these little indentations here. So to the right and the left of the triangle. They have the 30 zone as well, so that includes like these weld areas as well. So basically all of it, including like the roofs of the cupolas as well, is 30mm. So that's a good overmatch zone to take advantage of if you ever find yourself above one of these things. So the cupolas on this thing, and I mentioned them, are 130mm thick. I would recommend, if you have the option of shooting both of them, and the T-54 you're against is sitting still, I would recommend shooting at the left one because the left one is tall, and it seems to be less angled than the right one. Well, if you're looking at it from this direction, it's left, right, but if you're looking at it from this direction, it's left, right. So, yeah, I'm going off that there. So, this one here is, I feel like the better one to shoot, because it doesn't seem as sloped or as angled, whereas this one here has a lot more angling to it, and I feel like it's going to be a lot more trolled to, like, pen a lot of the time, so I don't recommend shooting this one here. I reckon this one's probably your better bet. So, onto the actual front turret armor of the vehicle itself. It's 240mm right next to the gun mantlet, so it's actually a pretty wide zone. It's about this big. 240 armor in that, like, an area about that big there on both sides. So, it's a pretty significant amount of armor to have on the front of the turret of a medium tank. And the way it works with these Russian vehicles is after the 240mm zone, it'll gradually decrease as you go further away from the center where the gun mantlet is. So 240, then we'll go down to say 200, then 180, then 160, and go further. As you go further back, it'll decrease. This has the side effect of, like, if you ever see one of these things and it has a turret can like this, if you shoot the star, chances are you have a good chance of penning if you have a decent penned gun. So you have a decent chance of penetrating, so you may as well try shots like that. But if it's like this here, and you have like less than 250 pens, say, then you may want to just forget about shooting it in the front of the turret, and you might want to try and aim for the hull if you can. So yeah, and I should also mention the hull armor does greatly increase whenever you're using your gun depression or when you angle. So like it's 200 effective when it's like this, and it'll increase massively very quickly whenever you angle it. And whenever you're using the gun depression, the front hull armor is very, very strong indeed. So yeah, let's go on to the mobility. So this is a 35-ton tank with a 700 horsepower engine, so it has about a 20 horsepower per ton ratio, with 56 km/h top speed, 20 reverse speed, and a 52.33 traverse speed with my setup. So this thing is immensely quick. It's one of the best light tank hunters in the game. It's really good at keeping up with them and just basically staying with them long enough to just track them and then eventually kill them. And because it has such strong front armor, and it has such a good speed, you're actually more than capable of ramming light tanks and doing a lot of damage to them very quickly. So if you need to kill a light tank very quickly, that's probably your best bet. Track it, then ram it at top speed. You're going to do a lot of damage to them. Of course, depending on which one it is, you're probably going to do the most damage versus, I would say, the American light tanks, because they have very little hull armor. All the others seem to have a little bit more. So yeah, let's go on to the firepower now. So let's see. So the firepower is probably the most touchy subject when it comes to this vehicle. So a lot of people recommend using the D-54 gun or over the D10T2S gun. So I'm going to leave my personal bias out of this here for a little minute. So the D-54 gun has a worse rate of fire, but is literally better in every other respect other than weight. So it's got a better aiming time, it's got a better accuracy, it's got 320 alpha just like the other one, it has 219 damage. Only thing you have to sacrifice is rate of fire and a little bit of weight. And the D-54 seems like, definitely seems like the better gun. But the problem is the rate of fire. So the difference between a 7 round per minute rate of fire and an 8 round per minute rate of fire base is pretty significant. Like this thing here has nearly 10 rounds per minute rate of fire with my setup. So if I change to the D-54, it's a 7-second reload instead of nearly a 6-second reload. So yeah, that's a pretty significant drop off in terms of like rate of fire. And if you look at the DPM, it goes from 2700 with this gun to 3100 with this gun. So that's nearly a 400 DPM drop off with this with the other gun. So honestly, I feel like with me, even though I know the D-54 is the more consistent gun, I feel like the D10T2S gun is the one that suits my playstyle better, because I usually play this tank at very, very close ranges. Short and medium range is like the only area I play this thing in. I very rarely try and snipe. So yeah, I find this gun just suits my playstyle perfectly, whereas the D-54 is more of a jack of all trades gun. It sacrifices some of the rate of fire, but for the most part, it's overall a superior gun. But here's the one crucial aspect that a lot of people don't actually realize. The D10T2S gun actually has 1 degree more gun depression than the D-54 gun. So 5 degrees on this gun, 6 degrees on this gun. So yeah, it's a pretty significant advantage the D10T2S gun has. And if you wonder why I keep like stuttering, it's because like trying to remember the names of these guns can be a bit of a pain sometimes. But yeah, I think the D10T2S gun is better, like for my playstyle, but for a lot more people's playstyles, people who are more passive than me are probably gonna love the D-54. That's like, there's nothing wrong with loving the D-54. Just personally, I love the D10T2S. And this setup here, that I have the rammer, vertical stabilizer, and the vents. Those are all there to maximize the rate of fire. If I was primarily using the D-54 cannon, I would be running this thing with rammer, vertical stabilizer, and coded optics, because you need to be able to make use of this gun at more ranges than short and medium range. So you need to be able to use the gun at short, medium, long range. Basically every range this gun can be usable at. So yeah, you need to have that little bit of extra versatility in terms of the extra view range. So coded optics is probably the best bet if you're going to be using this gun rather than improved vents, unless your crew is good enough to have just vents, the view range skills, stuff like that. But now I've mentioned the skills, let's go into them here. So these skills here that I have right now, Brothers in Arms, Sixth Sense, Repair, stuff like that. These skills here I think are probably the best skills to take as like the first 3 skills. Most people are probably going to have nearly a 3-skill crew by the time they get to the T-54. So if you have nearly a 3-skill crew, you might want to get it up to like 3 skills and like 200% skills and like 50% on the 3rd skill. Then retrain it to have this sort of crew layout. The reason I have repairs before snapshot and smooth ride on the driver and the gunner is because you don't want to leave yourself with a really low repair skill on every crew member. Like having these two with 100% repairs is good enough to tide you over until you have the other crew skills at about 80 and 90% on the repairs and stuff like that. And I always make sure I take safe stowage as early as possible on Russian vehicles. And Sixth Sense is just always handy, just because it allows you to like be a bit more versatile in battle. So yeah, I honestly recommend trying to go for this crew skill layout, like Brothers in Arms, then repairs on the driver and gunner, and then first, no wait, what's it called? Safe stowage on the loader, Sixth Sense on the commander. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about with first something. I don't know what it is. Repairs, then after that they're on the commander, and repairs on the loader after that too. So after that there you can take whatever you like pretty much, but these here, like the aiming stat ones, you can deal with those being a little bit lower for the first while of the grind, but you need to be able to get your tracks up in a decent time. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I really need to go over in the garage. So time to go on to the gameplay. The first gameplay is going to be of the D-54 cannon, so let's go on to that here now. Okay, so we're back with the first gameplay. This is with the D-54 cannon, but let's just go off on a little bit of a tangent here for a wee second. This is on the 9.20.1 test server client, because Wargaming apparently has the inability to update their client without breaking the replay system completely for their game. Every time they do an update, even if it's just a micro patch, it seems to break every single replay, and you cannot use them at all with the current version of the client. So this is the test server version of the client, and I am so lucky I still had this, because I almost deleted it. Literally yesterday I almost deleted this, so holy shit, I am lucky. I almost lost every single game I had so far in 9.20.1. So yeah, Wargaming needs to get their shit together when it comes to the replay system, seriously. But yeah, starting off the game, first shot, put in the M41 Bulldog, and T-54 is incredible when it comes to this ramming light tanks. I actually tried to go for the ram on 1390, but I'm not quite quick enough to get the ram in on this guy, and I'm a little slow when it comes to my reaction speeds here, which meant I missed a shot on that guy, but I think the MX in the background does manage to actually finish that guy off, or maybe not, but yeah. CDC going for a shot point blank range. That guy missed because I think I misaimed that shot slightly. The T-55A pulls forward, gets hit by a big shot. The CDC pokes around the corner. He bounces off my front armor because the front armor on this thing is really strong. Well, really strong versus these types of guns. CDC has the higher penetration of these two vehicles, 212 in comparison to 201, so I focus him down first. First shot I have against this guy, I put it straight into his front armor. I believe that's where the ammo rack is for the T-55 and T-54. So I believe that may have damaged his ammo rack. Take another shot into his front armor. This is where the extra penetration of this gun comes in handy, and the knowledge of that guy has about 100mm of front armor, 720 like the T-54 has. So he has a significantly weaker turret and a significantly weaker hull. And with the extra penetration and accuracy of this gun, I'm able to pinpoint hit the turret weak point on the T-55, which basically removes him from the game. So now we get TVP 5051 and Panther 2. So I'm going to play a little cautious here for a minute here and try and think of like what's the best way for me to approach these guys. So let's see. I'm going to go around to the right hand side of this mound. I'm going to try and like spot where I can. Let's see. So I appear to just be driving one hand, not moving the mouse at all. There it is there. And I changed my mind. I've decided to go this way again. Yeah, a bit of erratic. I was a wee bit erratic there. I was trying to like, I think what I was initially trying to do was throw them off in terms of the direction I was going to go. But I kind of changed my mind and decide, yeah, this is a safer route, because the T-54 is a low-profile vehicle. I'm able to get into this like little cover zone here and get up towards where this TVP 5051 is. So this is actually a really dangerous move because TVP can one-clip me, but that's only if he pens me. And this is one of the few shots I have at really long range, and I fire it before it's aimed, and that is the critical mistake I made when I was firing at these objects out in 04. Whenever you're firing at the object, or whenever you're firing at that sort of range, fully aim your shots. Don't risk partially aiming them, because if you partially aim them, you're probably going to miss. And you want to be as consistent as possible with this gun. I do realize most of this game has been at point blank range with the D-54, and this is not where this gun excels, but this is still the sort of playstyle you need to adapt with this gun. You need to be very cautious, you don't need to be aggressive, but not too aggressive. And you just saw there, that was me baiting the shot using the front armor like I mentioned earlier, and I did it again. This is the front armor at work in this vehicle. I still, by the way, this is the reason I'm showcasing this game, because I remember how much damage I was able to tank in this machine in this particular match. Focusing TVP down here first because, well, I want to get rid of the higher tiered vehicle. Panther 2 starts moving forward. He does have a higher pen gun than me. He has like a 230 pen gun roughly with the 88mm 100, which I think he's using. Actually, is he using it? No, it doesn't actually look like he is. I think that's just the 88L71. So he has about 203 pen, about the same as me. He actually pens me with that shot, so I'm now one shot for him. And the higher penetration meant I didn't bounce off of his upper front plate, which was very possible in that circumstance there. Panther 2 is right there. I was worried about TVP. TVP gets killed by the Carnarvon, which is apparently a bit of a monster in this batch. Second shot in the front of his turret, and I didn't kill him, which meant he could have potentially killed me there. But yeah. What this gameplay just showed there now is the consistency this gun provides, because this gun, even at this sort of range, the D10 T2S can be a bit RNG based in terms of like whether or not it hits, but I was able to pinpoint the shots into yeah, and I really have not. Whoa, that's Carnarvon. I've forgotten about that. I'm not gonna lie. He just goes straight down the hill, rams the 704, and basically just almost kills himself, killing the 704. Jesus, but yeah, didn't really show too much of this thing's usability at long range. If I'm honest, I completely forgot to respec this thing in terms of equipment when I was playing it with D-54 in this particular match, so this was more rate of fire oriented rather than the view range oriented approach which I recommended. But I felt like I wanted to show this here because I wanted to show that this vehicle can tank shots pretty damn well. I mean, I bounced 2800 damage in this game, and I was even able to bounce like 248 pen, I think it is, TVP-5051 100mm shells. So yeah, that just shows you how well this machine can actually tank. And I was actually spotting in that game as well, even though I didn't have the full view range, which I would normally have had if I was using this gun. But that was my mistake. But I still felt this was a reasonably solid game and a pretty good representation of how well this gun, or how well this tank can tank hits and stuff like that. So yeah, let's go on to the post game stats. Then we'll get into the D10 T2S game. Right. So now we're on to the post game stats for the D54 game. So this game was worth an ace tanker, steel wall, and high caliber, and I also got 2 bonds because of the 2 epic medals I got. 1,377 base XP. By the way, I really really like that they did that with the bonds, that you can actually earn bonds through these sorts of epic medals and stuff like that, because it means that there's a bit more of an opportunity for lower tiered players. Well, not lower tier players, but like players at the lower tiers to actually earn bonds rather than just the tier 10s being able to earn them. Gives everybody a chance that way. Like I misworded at the start. I don't mean like lower level players. I mean like literally like lower players at the lower tiers. So yeah, kind of miscommunicated what I meant there. But yeah, team scores. I came top of the team in terms of damage and XP. That Carnarvon had a pretty epic game. Holy crap, he was really not very far off me in terms of XP. And the highest score on the enemy team was the Object 704. But there's really not much else of note. I would assume the Carnarvon probably got a kamikaze for ramming the Object 704. That's probably his epic medal for that match. So yeah, let's go on to the detailed report. 19 shots fired, 15 direct hits, and 14 penetrations. So that's a pretty freaking good ratio. I think I only bounced the 1 shot. I think it was off T-55. 2800 damage blocked by armor, 1300 damage done with my assistance, and I made 11k on that match. So I was really happy with the result of that game. Didn't really see too much that I could really do differently. And the reason I was so aggressive in that game, even though I mentioned earlier in the actual review section that I recommend staying at slightly longer ranges with this gun, the reason I was so aggressive was because I didn't have colored optics installed on this vehicle. So that was my mistake. So I felt like I had to be more aggressive in order to be able to spot vehicles in order to do damage to them. So yeah, but it contradicted myself a little bit with the gameplay, but yeah. Let's go on to the next section of gameplay. Okay, and we're back with the D10T2S gameplay. So this is going to be a slightly faster paced game because I'm going to be playing a lot more close range. I was playing pretty close range in the last game, but you notice like it wasn't particularly fast paced. This one here is going to be a lot more aggressive than the other game. Even though the other game was pretty aggressive, this one's going to be even more aggressive. So yeah, let's get into this here now. And the reason I'm leaving this pretty long section of like gameplay before I actually start firing the gun is because I want to show you like the mobility of this vehicle, how it accelerates, how it moves around. Its mobility is really nice, and it just feels really nice to use. And we're actually starting off this game with a 2-tank disadvantage because RE251 was nailed by artillery and Oni fell off the bridge. And I get ridiculously unlucky there. The T-28 HDC nails me in the right track, which meant I was tracked out in front of I was tracked out in front of 2 enemy guns that were right next to me. So I just took a ton of damage there, which I normally wouldn't have had to take. Like, if I hadn't gotten tracked there, I would have been able to get over that position without taking any damage at all. But Carnarvon is now dead because he exposed his lower front plate. And the lower front plate in the Carnarvon, as everyone knows, is pretty much worthless. So let's see here. So there's a Ferdinand over there. I'm not worrying too much about him. I should be quick enough to get across here without getting shot by him. I'll try a snapshot over towards that guy. Get a critical hit, but yeah. I think I may have tracked him or something, but I'm not going to worry too much about him at the moment. There's a T-28 HDC right there. So I'm going to primarily try and focus him down, try and get rid of him. But there's an AKV right there. I missed the first shot. See, this is where I said that this gun mainly like works at like short and medium range. Even at medium range, like this sort of thing here, like over 100 meters, this gun can be very RNG based, whereas the other gun would be a lot more consistent. And what I was doing there is I was actually trying to go for its Under Armour, because I'm pretty sure the Under Armour on that thing is really, really weak. So, I think I pinned the Under Armour on that thing before PG, so yeah, I was trying to go for the Under Armour on him there and kind of failed. So now I'm going to start going for his actual weak points. First shot pins and takes off some of his health. Next shot, I can't sit here a little too long. That was very risky. I shouldn't have sat there right in front of his gun. So there's a chance he could have pinned me and done some damage. I'm going to rush forward here now and try and get out of his line of fire. He starts falling back because I believe some of my allies move forward. Meant to kind of surprised him. I'm going to stick a shot into his front drive wheel. I was hoping that would pin and track him, but I kind of failed at that. T-20 HCC is falling back here, and there's no way I can pin him in this particular circumstance, because, well, he's just angled and I can't see his weak point. I can see his weak points now, but I'm mainly just going to track him and get around him like I did with the tortoise. Now I have a Ferdinand and an AKV right in front of me, and I'm just thinking I need to deal with these guys first. I really need to get rid of these guys first. Ferdinand is pointing right at me. Ferdinand gets tracked by my artillery, kill him off. AKV 90B is looking at me here, and he is a little too slow reacting, and his traverse is not quick enough, so I kill him off as well. Gets shot in the back by an IS, but I can't focus on him right now. I have to deal with the artilleries. The artilleries are the biggest threat here by far. I'm going to go all the way in with this guy, because I'm pretty confident I can't miss this guy, or miss this range, sorry, and kill off the GW Tiger. Then the Lorraine 15550 is right there, and I kill him off as well, removing all those guys from the game. And yeah, this is like some of the derpiness I mentioned. I'm not really sure like why it did that. Yeah, this is why I mentioned in the previous gameplay, like there's some derpiness with the replay in regards to like the test server client. So let's see. So now I'm going to focus on T-20 HCC, who's by some miracle still alive. I'm not really sure how. But yeah, I'm going to focus on this guy, try to remove him from the game. I am one off Top Gun. Get a last shot into him and kill him off. There's an IS over there, the guy who shot me, but he dies. And there's a Skoda T-50 up to my north. I'm thinking I really need to get rid of him sooner rather than later. I'm on 6 kills at the moment, and I'm going to try and be aggressive and try and help out this Object 252U so that he doesn't die, hopefully. But I may not be quick enough to do that. WZ-111 pops up at the worst possible time, puts a heat shot right into my side, leaving me on 14 health. Versus a Skoda T-50, and who else? Who knows what else could be over here? Well, we know what else is over here now. All the way in with the Skoda T-50, a fire shot into him. MX-1390 sees this as his opportunity to remove Tier 9 from the game, so he starts moving towards me. I back up to this point here, and because he's using a 90mm that fires APCR standard, he has about 215 pen, I believe. I start like angling my armor towards him, and I punched 3 of his shots. This is why I said this thing's armor is so good. Tanks like that for an APCR standard rounds, normally they would have no problem penetrating like tanks with about 200 effective armor. But because this thing here has the has like sloped armor the way it does, that meant that the APCR rounds didn't have as much normalization as they normally would, which meant they were bouncing off consistently. Because I was keeping the tank angled to an extent while he was trying to circle me. And here's WZ-111, and kill him off. End up with 8 kills, 3,500 damage, 1,050 spotting damage. Okay, so now we're on to the post-game stats for the D10T2S gameplay. So, this was an Ace Tanker, Radley Walters, I think it's a Piscucci's medal, Top Gun, Steel Wall, and Spartan. So, yeah, this is an interesting game, because this is actually a lower XP total than the other game. But, if you were to ask me which gun I wanted to use on this vehicle, I would definitely still say this gun, because this gun is just so much more fun. It feels so much more intense to play it with this gun than it does with the other gun. So yeah, even though this is actually a lower XP game, I had so much more fun in this game than I did in the other game. The other game felt a lot more dull, even though it was still a very aggressive game and there was still a lot of action in that game. This game here felt like so much more fun to play. So yeah, let's go on to the team scores. So I got the highest damage, experience, and kills. The highest score on the enemy team, interestingly, was Tiger 1. So a tier 7, a tier 9 game got the highest XP total. And when it came to my team, the second highest score was the Leva, who actually did 500 less damage than the Object 252. But I think that was probably because the Object 252 died. If he hadn't died, I feel like the Object 252 may have had the higher experience total. I think there's an experience modifier that will that has an effect like on your XP if you survive the battle, and also the live got an extra kill, so that could have had a factor as well. So yeah, let's go on to the detailed report. So this is where you see the clear difference between this gun and the other gun. So I fired 24 shots in this game, 20 hits, 15 penetrations. So yeah, like this gun, like there were 9 shots in that game where I didn't do damage. So yeah, that basically sums up this gun for you. And I actually spent 29,520 credits on ammunition in that game, and I actually lost money because of that. This gun is not cheap to use. If I'm completely honest, it's nowhere near as consistent as the other gun. And if you're concerned about credits, the other gun is probably the best option, because not only will you have to fire premium rounds less often, but you'll also be more reliable with your hit rate on your shots. And yeah, 2200 damage blocked and 1050 damage from my assistance. So yeah, this game also showcased like the tanking ability of this tank, but it doesn't showcase it quite as well as the other game in my opinion, because like I was able to bounce shots from like a TVP-5051 and stuff in the other game, whereas in this game here I think it was majority just like lower tiered vehicles. So yeah, this game for me was so much more fun to play than the other game, and I just love the playstyle with this gun. Even though this game is not quite as impressive as the other one in terms of damage and XP, I would rather have the ability to potentially have games like this rather than the more consistent nature of the D54. D54 is overall probably the better gun. I just prefer the ability to have games like this with the D10T2S. So there's nothing wrong with loving the D54 gun. It's just my personal preference to use the D10T2S. So yeah, let me know in the comment section, like, which gun did you guys prefer to use? Did you prefer the rapid fire gun, or did you guys prefer the more consistent gun? And also let me know if you think I've forgotten anything. I will leave it in the description if there's anything really important that I had forgotten to mention. And yeah, of course, leave any general thoughts you have in the comment section. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I really need to mention. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.